Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. I called my buddy Jigger Jim in on Black Lake to get information on Black Lake. And my first thing when he gets on the phone, I say, "Well, Jim, have you been fishing a lot?" And he says, "Not since yesterday." That was his opening term to me. And I, of course, "Yes, Jim, I know you're out there all the time." But I said, "Where did you go yesterday?" And before I could even get into that, he started talking to me about yesterday was one of his greatest days ice fishing ever. So there had to be something special about this story. And I found out he was fishing. His son Seth arranged with a guide for them to go to Lake George and ice fish for lake trout. Now, a lot of you might think, okay, this isn't a report about our area. This is way down there on Lake George. No, it's something really important for us to understand about what we do fishing in this area. Now, Jigger Jim is one of the best ice fishermen, one of the best open water fishermen I know. But yet he said when he was down there on Lake George fishing for lake trout, which he doesn't fish for, all his knowledge, all the techniques that he used sort of went by the wayside. He said none of the things that I would do really worked because lake trout are different. And so he told me exactly how they did it. What they would do, what the guide said, is unlike with walleyes or something else, and they had Vexilars, they could see the fish way down in the water. And they said, when you see that fish start coming up, with walleyes or other species, a lot of times, when that fish shows an interest and is coming up, you stop the lure, you jiggle it, you do whatever, or even drop it, and that makes them hit it. In this case, no. If you did that, the lake trouts just left. They went back down 40 feet down to the bottom. So what you have to do is when you see them coming, reel it even faster. Just keep it coming up, 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 up. They'll follow it all the way to the hole and often strike when it increases in speed. Now that harkens back to me to when I was fishing Reindeer Lake in Manitoba years ago, and I was doing a show and we were fishing for lake trout. And I've told this story before about how we did it, how the Cree Indians would teach us to do this, something I'd never done before. We were fishing in 100 feet of water, and we took my favorite red and white bucktail jigs that I use for northern pike, and we'd let them go all the way to the bottom. You just drop it down, wait till it gets to the bottom. Then what you do is immediately start reeling it at a good pace all the way up. You just keep reeling it. You don't stop. You don't do anything else, but reel it that 100 feet back up to the surface. And somewhere along that journey, those lake trout hit it. I'd never fished like that. It was something totally different. Now, how does this relate to what we're doing? We bring people here. They come here to spend a vacation, and they go out in the St. Lawrence River. And like Jigger Jim going to Lake George, they have no idea of the techniques that work here. That's why a guide can be important. That's why it takes time to learn those different techniques. If we're employing drop shot techniques out in the St. Lawrence that are very skill oriented in that you need to have connection with the bottom, you need to be only so far up, and you need to have connection with that rod tip to know when that fish is hit. This is technique. People don't know that if they come from another area. It's the same thing. If you go to our tributaries and you want to fish muskies, you go out and fish the same way you've been fishing someplace else, you might never get a strike. You have to learn where they're holding, how they react, what they react to. And this really, put lights on to me when Jim was telling me about his lake trout experience. And it told me what I've known and all the sports shows I go to and talk to the public in New York City or Philadelphia or in Boston or whatever. When they come here, they've looked at videos we show in the booth and they see these wonderful fish and this fun fishing. They want to come here and do the same thing. Well, it's no different than any place else. It's a learning experience unless you have a guide or somebody to show you, because different strokes work differently for different folks in different waters. And it's important to keep that in mind. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.